Hey, remember when converting this Amazon packaging was the thing back in the day? I have been hoarding this for years, and I actually have two of them, and I'm starting to go back through some of my old stuff and try to do the projects that I had intended to do, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And it's either, okay, it's time to recycle or just move on and do the project, and I want to try to do that. I'm trying to get more crafty, so, and still have a good balance with you know, getting out and touching grass. So remember these? Remember? It's a South Park reference if you watch South Park, the Member Berries episode. So anyway, I decided that I wanted to convert this, and I wanted to use, because this is really large, I'm going to use some of my 12 by 12 paper that I've been hoarding too. So like, I have this Tim Holtz paper stash that's the memoranda, and by chance, this was not planned. I did not realize, I was going through my fabric trying to figure out, because there's still going to be like a little lap over, so I thought I might cover it in fabric, but instead of wasting the fabric, I may just use little strips, because I'm going to use strips on where everything folds. So in the spines where everything folds, I'm going to use fabric strips. So I have the Memoranda Eclectic Elements fabric. I don't even remember when I bought this, so I was really surprised to see this because I didn't know I had the coordinating fabric that went with this. But then I also started looking at the abandoned. I have quite a few of the abandoned fabrics because I fell in love with that line when it came out, and I think I just got half yard. Yeah, I can tell by the feel. This is because this is a full yard, and this is only going to be a half yard, whatever they call that in fabric. But anyway, I was looking at this because one of the sheets I wanted to use from in here is this one. And I thought this green went really well with the green that's in this little section down here. But I don't know yet. I'm still kind of playing around with it. I really don't want to start tearing into this until I know for sure, because I want to tear strips. I thought it'd be a nice contrast color to this one. But I'm going to be using other pages as well. So I wasn't really sure. Like, I could use this one and it would go good with that. So I don't know if I want to do contrast or if I want to do matchy-matchy. So I'm trying to work that out right now. And I also am using a smaller paper pad for some of the things I'm going to be doing inside here. So I have the etc. paper stash here, which includes some of the memoranda. This is like an eclectic, like, that has different brands that Tim Holtz did. So like, I can tell looking at this is the Wildflower collection. Then you go into that French Industrial one, and then, you know, it's also the memoranda in here, and then, oh, I can't think of the cigar box looking one. But anyway, lots of different collections that are in this, but there's also some memoranda ones, so that's why I pulled this out. And so I'm just gonna start playing around with this and trying to figure out first how I want to lay it out and get the base done. And I guess I'll just come back, because this is the process that takes so darn long, is trying to figure out how you're gonna lay everything out. So I'll come back when I have more of that process done. Okay, so I had a little change while I was working on this, and I decided that in addition to the fabric and the memoranda paper, I wanted to use these hanging file folders that I've had sitting in my hoard for a long time. I took the bars out of all these file folders, and I decided that I want to have that kind of wrap around like all the raw edge part of, you know, because you're going to see this cardboard edge. Like I did not do that here. I'm going to wrap fabric here, I decided. But everywhere else, like I kind of folded over and cut these down to where, as you can see here, this is going to be a smooth edge. It won't be the exposed cardboard edge there. And I decided to just go ahead and cover, like I took a whole file folder here. It fit perfectly to wrap around this part right here. So it fit perfectly. I just cut off the tops where that bar went through and folded it over. So I'm going to glue all this down. And I decided not to cover this because I'm going to use the memoranda paper. I didn't want to waste another file folder putting that big piece here. So then I did cut a strip I was going to tear, and then I decided I wanted even strips. So what I'm going to do is, after I get all this glued down, I am going to then take the fabric and glue the fabric on and wrap it around and make sure on the inside and the outside all these little foldy spine areas here, here, and here on these little foldy areas here. I like my technical term, foldy areas. Make sure those are all covered up with fabric as well after I get that base laid down. And then I'm going to come back and I will start figuring out where I want to have all of the memoranda paper kind of cover. Because once, you know, the fabric's on, some of this will be able to be covered. I kind of want to have some of this green file folder show underneath. But again, I haven't worked that part out yet. This is as far as I've gotten so far. So again, just building the base, the structure, base structure, whatever you want to call it, right now, just to make it cover up the cardboard and also kind of reinforce these edges. Because what happens is, if you leave this exposed, it's just going to start peeling over time. So I want to make sure that that does not happen, which means you've got to cover up all these edges here. And I don't know if I'm going to worry about the sides. Maybe I'll sew it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still working on it, but I did just want to come and like share like the process I'm going through on figuring out how to work this in to make a cute little folio. All right, I'll be back. Okay, that and working out the panels that I cut out because I wanted to stitch around everything. And so, very time consuming. And I did finally like kind of work out some kind of design to the way I wanted this to look. So I have everything right now just clipped on, like nothing is, you know, glued in. This is how it looks after I got the file folders down and then all that fabric wrapped. I did also stitch around all my fabric pieces that were going onto the spine. Some of it you won't even see, but again, I just did it for the look in case it does show through. This paper is 12 by 12, and so it's just an inch too long. The packaging was an inch too long, so I did have to do some patchwork, cutting a strip. I've already glued this one down, but you know, I did kind of have to play around with that as well. And the same thing here on the part that wraps around the front. I even like had to sew like around here on this little bitty piece, and I tried to remember not to sew around the entire square like I've been doing, although it doesn't matter, it still would look okay. But anyway, so I did do that there, and my water bottle keeps hitting into this. I know it's going to fall over if I don't move that. Okay, and the same thing here. So I just did a little patchwork down on the bottom. And I haven't glued anything down because I was struggling with how I was the closure I wanted to do. There was a box closure I had that I really wanted to use on the front of this. I can't fold this over, but this is way too thick for a box closure to work, because really box closures, they need to be flush so that they catch properly. And this just sits up too high, and I was having a hard time getting it to catch. I knew that would be problematic. So I struggled with trying to find a closure to do the way I wanted to do. And so I think what I wound up doing is I'm going to use these Tim Holtz bands and hitch fastener. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some grommets here, put one here and one here, so that this can lock in on the inside. And I'll pull this strap around out here, right here. Well, you'll see it when I get to it. And then I'm going to put the hitch fastener up here in the center where this wraps around to the front. And I'm going to have these bands, once I pull them around, are going to catch up here at the top. But again, I'll show you that. But these are just the things I had to think about before I started gluing things down. I did make a little pocket right here for the inside cover here. And I can't pack this too thickly, because again, this is all going to have to close and this is going to have to fold over. So there's so many things you have to think about when you're doing your design and figuring out how you want the structure to be. So anyway, this is what I wound up with. I just cut panels and stitched. So I've spent a lot of time just doing that. And here's the front cover. And before, again, like I said, I haven't glued anything down. What I want to do is now incorporate junk mail envelopes, junk mail window envelopes, and that's why I'm not gluing anything down yet, because I think what I want to do is have, you know, some flippy flappy things going on the cover and also inside. So have some, like, you know, on each side here. So maybe do, you know, something like that. So I'll need to hinge these, and I need to hinge it with, you know, some Craft Tex or Tyvek so that it's super strong and won't tear. But I'm thinking I want to do something like this, which means I'm going to use some of my scraps and just do like some collage work to cover, you know, that up so I can still have my window. And yeah, I'll have to cover pretty much this whole envelope because it's got all that advertising all over it. So I'll have to pretty much cover this whole thing. But I want to leave the window open, and so you can still put things inside. Again, I'll have to be real careful about that too, because it can't be too bulky. This thing can't get too bulky because of the way it has to close. So anyway, so that's where I'm at now. So before I glue all these panels down, I'm going to work out the rest of where my junk mail envelopes are going to go. And then I'm going to be covering, like I said, all my junk mail envelopes. So I probably won't come back until it's either where I'm getting ready to do the closure for it, or just when I'm done with all this, so you can see the after, what it looks like. I'll be back. Okay, I decided to call this fodder folio because it's stuffed with a bunch of stuff that you can use in your ephemera and stuff that you can use in a journal. So to whoever's getting this, that's the whole thought process behind this. And I love the way it turned out. I just love it. It's been a long time since I've made a project, and I was like, oh my god, I love everything about it. Because I've been able to look at past projects that I've done and go, I wish I would have done this differently. And there were a couple of hiccups I mean, that I ran into with trying to do the closure on it, but in the end I really do like the way this turned out. So this is an overview, and sorry I didn't continue on with the process, but that had just taken so long, and actually I'm going to struggle to remember how I did some of this now, because it's been probably, I don't know, it's been sitting on my desk for a couple of months, 2 or 3 months since I finished it, because a lot of stuff started happening after I got finished with this, and I never did record the video. So now I'm trying to get it off my desk, and I thought now's a good time to share it, and this will be going out to another viewer slash somebody who's also purchased my D-stashes before in the past. So let's just get into it. I did wind up using the Tim Holtz bands, so I did set grommets here on the top and the bottom to reinforce it in, and it wasn't holding this flat down strong enough for me. So what I did is I went ahead and made a belt as well to hold this in, and I love the way the belt turned out too. So what I used was from Joann Fabrics. This is a trim that they use for a pair. I don't even know what they use this trim for, but I had bought this large spool of it, oh my gosh, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. It's been a long time, and I've used quite a bit of it for different things over the years, but anyway, I decided to make a belt out of it. And so what I did, and I've got this buckle here that I used to set it, the belt with, and I got this from some Etsy seller, again, a long time ago. I'm sure you can get this stuff on Amazon now, but back in the day when I was, buying these things and crafting, you could only get them from Etsy sellers. But anyway, so it's just a little buckle that I stitched in. You can see how I did it on my sewing machine here. So just kind of folded it over, and I had also, to color it, I used a distress stain. I don't remember what color this is, Vintage Photo maybe. And then, or no, you know what? This is a Color Art, an old color spray I had. That's right. So I think just a chocolate brown color that I colored first. So the coloring was the very first thing I did, and then I decided to use these rulers. One of these is a digital printout right here, and then another was actually a sticker. I had a whole card of rulers on a sticker page that I've again had for a gazillion years, so I threw that on here, and then I set the grommets for the buckle here, and then I had already stitched, so I stitched all this in too. So I didn't know how well the glue was going to hold up on here, so I stitched all around it, and then I did a center stitch too, just to set everything in. And I love the way this belt turned out, so pretty cool. And the hitch fastener, like I said, that I was going to use here on the side, I decided to stick it here. It wasn't working well here on this side, so I put it here to just kind of help keep everything, held tight. And this is how I wound up decorating. I love the way this turned out. So I've got all my fabric here. I've got all the memoranda paper that I used to decorate everything. The same thing here with these junk mail window envelopes. And this right here is the top of the hanging file folder that I used to set as the base substrate that I showed in one of the previous segments. So that top part that I had cut off, where the hanging file folder, the metal frame part that holds it in place, I'm not explaining that right, but anyway, I cut that off, and that's what I used here. And then I also used some of my rusty photo corners, book corners, whatever they're called, and And then I just did a bunch of collaging here, and I use a lot of the Tim Holtz people in this folder too. And then I just made journal cards to cover up where, because I didn't feel like decorating the inside of the envelopes here, and this was just the way I used to cover it up. And on this side, come on, why am I having a problem with this? I can't do anything with acrylic nails. That's not the side I wanted to show. Oh, maybe that looks better. I'll keep that like that. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. And then on the back side of the envelope, I just used another part of the file folders, the base here, to make a pocket, and then I aligned it with some of the memoranda paper and just did a little collage thing here. And I had some dyed coffee paper that I used to back this as well. So sewed that in, and then I used another one at the top of the file folders here. And then I have a rusty paper clip that I just clipped in this little ephemera envelope here. And on the inside, I punched a whole bunch of these welltail tabs with my welltail punch. So those are in here that you can use. And then I have this really old vellum envelope with a bunch of the memoranda journal cards cut out and thrown in here. And I just like the way this looks, having it tucked over like that. And stuffed in here. And again, I couldn't fill this thing really with a lot of stuff, so everything I needed to be flat. No like dimensional ephemera in this, or embellishments or anything. Just here on the cover with the little mini tile, Scrabble tiles to spell out the name of the folder. And then on this side, just another little collage I did. I utilized the tops of these folders quite a bit in here, and it was just to kind of reinforce it, so you can see how I folded it over just to reinforce this envelope here. And here's the back side. I made another little pocket, vertical pocket instead of horizontal, with some more collaging as well. A couple of journal cards. And then another huge journal card right here. I'm not going to pull all these out because I'm having a hard time getting them back in. And I just love the way like things stick out. So I love the way this tab just kind of just sticks out here, and also here on the top. I really like that. And then yeah, I didn't even do any embellishing here. Is just feel free to do whatever. Whoever gets this, do whatever you want. And then on the inside, the back folder here, I have some more flippy flappy envelopes, another big journal card, more collaging. I loved the way that when I coffee dyed this junk mail envelope, I love the way the polka dots turned out, so I didn't want to cover up the whole thing with paper, so I left a little strip of that showing. And then this right here with some more. This is a lacy dye job I did on this envelope, and again, I just didn't want to cover the whole thing up. A huge journal card in here. And I made a little pocket here with the file folder. It's super tight. You can't hardly fit very much in that. A big metal trim piece that I'd rusted out. Just another little collage bit here on the bottom. With some journal cards that I made from the paper. And then this is old Artie Mays or Tracy Fox. I don't remember which one, or it could be their collaboration. Just this little a specimen card. I just thought it went with, it matched pretty good, and I made a whole bunch of these some time back, so I just thought I would throw that in here as well. And then over here, I can't remember which way. Oh, I had it like that, I think. And then over here is how I wound up doing these little flippy flappy that were part of the Amazon packaging. I just stuck some twine in here, and I made for the little circles here, I just punched that out of the file folder and then attached it with brads. And again, the brads are buried underneath the paper, so again, when you're thinking about designing, you have to think about that. If I hadn't thought of about that before, then it would be showing, you know, underneath. So just part of the thought process when you're putting these things together. And yeah, so I just used some photo corners here. Again, just everything any kind of metal I ever purchase, I throw it in a pile to be rusted. So everything is rusted, and I love the way that looks. This is just the way I decorated the inside of these little flippy floppy things right here. And again, I didn't do any embellishing. I just left the paper as is. Now this, I decided to use an Acco fastener. Again, you get these at Staples, and it is just holding a whole bunch of different ephemera and things. So I have this seed packet envelope, whatever you want to call it, that I got from an estate sale from Patty Lang. And then on the inside, oh yeah, I forgot what I put in here. These are just some dyed time cards that I had done. So just a few of those in here. So you got that little envelope, and then I have just some, those album pages, the pocket pages. I cut a bunch of those apart and used those in here. And so those are just little journal cards that are inside this. I have some watercolor paper that I tore, some very nice watercolor paper too. A little journal page that's been dyed, some more of that watercolor paper. This is another one of those pocket pages, and so there's a couple of journal cards made from that memoranda paper. And then I just alternated with this exact same thing. So some dyed paper, watercolor paper. This is a huge journal page right here. Like I think it's 11 by 17 journal page. Something like that. It's really big. Some vellum, some dyed vellum. Some more of that pocket page with little journal cards in it. And it just repeats. So again, just all kinds of journal fodder for the person that's getting this. And then there's the back of the page. And this all comes out. So all you have to do is slide these little pieces over and lift this up. And all these pages and stuff come out. So that's it. I love the way, again, I love the way this turned out. I've been wanting to make one of these for a really long time. And I still have another really large one that's this size, and then I saw I had a couple of the smaller ones too that was the Amazon packaging. So super excited about that, because I'm probably going to be making some more of these. I really just love the way it turned out. It's been a long time since I've made something I got excited about. And so this project, actually, even though it's taken me a long time to get the video done and posted here, I actually did finish this pretty quickly. I mean, it was like a couple of weekends is all it took for me to get this done, as opposed to doing like those big journals that I've been doing. And yeah, so I just really like the way it turned out. And so you just put this back around, wrap it around I wanted it to catch there so it wouldn't slide off. And like that. And there you have that journal. There's the back side of it. And I love it. I love how this turned out. So this is going out again to another viewer, and I hope you liked the process somewhat of the process anyway. And I'll see you guys later.